Darkness presses tightly against the walls of a cramped basement, a single flickering bulb casting long, trembling shadows. In the corner, a man clamps his jaw, eyes darting nervously as the faint scrape of boots echoes somewhere above. In his hands, a forbidden newspaper with a headline barely visible under a red circle. Resistance lives in silence. How did they manage to print these words under such unrelenting watch? How did they survive the ruthless hunt led by a regime bent on crushing every spark of defiance? This is the terrifying truth they hid about the underground publisher, a story etched in fear, courage, and ink smeared with the blood of the oppressed. In 1943, under the choking grip of wartime oppression, in a city swallowed by ruins and fear, a secret publisher operated beneath the surface of a city drowning in silence. The streets smelled of wet earth and diesel exhaust, the air heavy with the metallic taste of despair. It was a time when the talent for survival was measured by the ability to vanish without a trace, where every whispered conversation risked becoming a death sentence. In this grim setting, the underground publisher emerged as both myth and reality, a shadow weaving words into weapons. The discovery that would shatter the fragile calm was as silent as it was devastating. Late one cold evening, a courier stumbled at the threshold, clutching a bundle of freshly printed papers stamped with the dreaded seal of the regime's censors, blacked out and defaced. The crackling of radio chatter hinted that the walls were closing in. Fear flooded the cramped rooms like a rising tide. Each page printed was a gamble with oblivion, a thread pulled too hard in a web woven by spies and informants. The presses, hidden amidst forgotten subway tunnels, rattled like ghosts resisting death. The fear was suffocating, yet hope was kindled in every clandestine headline that dared speak the truth. The resistance fighters who distributed these papers moved like shadows at dusk, slipping through sentry lines and barbed wire, each delivery a precarious ballet of life and death. It was not just ink on paper. It was a lifeline, a whispered promise of freedom that defied the silence imposed by brutal censorship. But the regime's crackdown was brutal and unrelenting. Betrayal lurked in every dark corner. The clandestine network fractured under pressure. Homes were ransacked, presses destroyed, and editors dragged away into the cold night, their fates a grim warning to others. Yet the most harrowing moments came not from discovery, but from choice. The agonizing decisions to continue printing under threat of torture and death, the resolve to keep whispering truth into a roaring storm of propaganda. The breaking point arrived on a rain-slick night when the publisher's hideout was surrounded. A frantic scramble ensued, desperate hands crumpling evidence, hearts pounding with the unbearable weight of silence and survival. That night, the secret presses fell silent, but their legacy was indelible. Few histories dare to recount the full horror behind these quiet acts of defiance. The brutal reality is that many who dared to resist with pen and paper paid the ultimate price, erased from memory by the victors who feared the power of words more than any weapon. But through declassified files and found footage, this documentary resurrects their story, not as a distant relic, but as a pulse-beating testament to the undying spirit of resistance. In these yellowed pages stained by terror, we glimpse a truth far darker and more complex than official records admit. These underground newspapers held not only information, but the seeds of hope and rebellion that would ripple through generations. The story of the underground publisher is one of devastating loss and astonishing courage, unsung heroes who challenged tyranny, armed with nothing but ink, paper, and an unbreakable will. Their voices cut through the darkness, a silent roar against the crushing silence. And as we close this chapter of hidden history, we are left with an enduring question. In a world shadowed by oppression, how many truths remain buried, waiting for the brave to unearth them?